So this is Coffee and Donuts, the guests talk show, and it's episode 1. And I've been talking to Rob, Mr. Lob, and also to Fatwax45, who are the co-hosts of Coffee and Donuts. And as we came up to our 100th show, I decided it might be good to talk to some of the guests who have firstly been there from pretty much the beginning and followed us and watched, but then they became guests, and then some of them have gone on to be stand-ins when I've not been available or Marky's not been available, and they're an important part of the show because obviously, you know, if they're not there and these people weren't prepared to sort of step in and do a set, then the show would be a lot shorter or it wouldn't happen at all. So I thought it was important to talk to them and find out their views about the show as well. So today we've got Mr. Mark Lancaster. How you doing,
Hello.
Mark?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. We were just talking. I just got back from Boomtown, so I'm a little bit broken,
I bet
but
you are.
I'm very inspired and like full of more ideas of stuff to do. But
Excellent.
it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, from that little intro, we're going to talk about Coffee and Donuts. I know you've been a fan from quite
Absolutely.
early on.
I think I
Let's.
was trying to think today whether I saw the very first one, but it was very, very early. I saw a very,
It,
very early.
I think so, yeah. But we'll pause there for that bit. But let's go back a little bit because obviously this all comes out of the 45 Kings.
Yeah.
And we obviously started with the 24-hour session, and then
Mm.
obviously this then came about with me and Rob just sort of talking to each other and saying, why don't we just stream on a Saturday? It might be fun, and then obviously then we sort of ended up with, almost 100 shows of Coffee and
Yeah,
Donuts.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so 45 King, in case people haven't, I know you've been on my show before and we've talked about it, but, in case people don't know your involvement, when did you first become aware of 45
Right.
Kings?
It was during lockdown, and I was watching the Allergies do
Yeah.
a set because they used to do a set on a Saturday afternoon. Money Shot and Rackaby used to do a shot. They used to do half hour, then half hour, and then go. And they used to do it from their own houses. And it's typical. And sometimes they get kicked off, and sometimes they wouldn't. And then I think they switched to Mixcloud. I think anyway, whatever it was, I think it was on Mixcloud. And I spotted this slip mat. I think one of these.
It was one of the.
One of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's a cool slip mat. What's that?
Yeah.
So I mean, although I know I've got lots of vinyl, I didn't know there were 7 slip mats. I've got slip mats, and just luckily enough, sorry, it was Money Shot said, oh, that's the 45 Kings. I'll sort out a link later on, and I'll let it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I thought, yeah, you forget. Luckily, Marky was in, Batwax was in, and he was like, it's this.
Yeah.
Are you on Facebook? I said yes, and he said okay. He sent me a link to Facebook, and I befriended him, and he sent me a message on Facebook and said, "This is all about it. This is the whole setup, and here's a link to get slip mats." So that was how I started. So I went straight to the Facebook page. I applied to join, and I was allowed in. And then within a week, or not even, probably 3 or 4 days, I had the slip mat. So that must have been.
That's pretty early on, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was pretty early on. So yeah, I think you've been going less than a year by then. You've probably been going 6 months, maybe something like that.
Yeah, because the obviously the group's been going 3 years in July. The streaming is 2 years in July, and then obviously Coffee and Donuts hits 2 years in September.
Yeah, so it was
It must have been.
It was around the time I missed the 24-hour thing.
So it must have been just after that, maybe.
Just after that, so it's nearly 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, because just after that, it sort of came about. We'd got into streaming a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah,
I've done
fun."
that bit with Pete Brady, so
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you did stuff with Pete and Belfast Funk and Soul, and it was just sort of. It was just taking off, wasn't it, as far as DJs and seeing what was possible. And I think we just enjoyed it. We were quite blown away by what happened with the 24-hour stream. We were like, wow, this is amazing. And then I just said to Rob, well, I quite fancy streaming this morning. Do you fancy doing an hour? I do an hour. And then we sort of did that. And then we then got Marky on board. But what's your recollection of Coffee and Donuts and sort of finding it?
I think obviously because I was on the Facebook page, I remember something coming up about this is a new thing starting on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And I tuned in. Now there was another event. Was there one when I think the first one I ever saw there's some kids involved really early on, and Sam played all children's records.
Right.
Sam
Okay.
Twigs. And he was like, I mean, I'd already met Sam on
Yeah.
Facebook via the Pete Brady thing, so I knew him. So that was a link. And I was chatting to Sam on the link, and we were having a laugh. And he's
Yeah.
playing, and he played that Dogtanian thing, and it's just stuck in it. It's like everyone's going to be singing that for the rest of the day. And then it flipped over, and I think you were definitely involved that day when you had your old setup.
Yeah. Sort of over there.
I mean, it's over there, yeah.
Over
And
the
then,
shoulder.
and I think. Yeah, because Sam was visiting a friend somewhere, and there was
Oh, okay. I know what you mean. That was so he was going to see Sean. I can't remember the surname.
yeah.
Sean someone.
I think what happened was all the kids were meant to DJ, and they just all buggered off after about 5 minutes.
I think
So
there was Violet.
Yeah,
Violet did a little bit.
that's right. Yeah.
And I think Seb was meant to do like a beatboxing thing, but I don't think that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was sort of very early days, 45K. But that was one of the early ones
So
that
I think that was the very. I think that was the first one I saw, and then I think I've seen every single one apart from about 2 since. I think when I was away on holiday in Shropshire earlier on in the year, I managed to log in for about 5 minutes, and when my mum and dad moved in Cornwall, I saw about 5 minutes. But that's the only ones I mean, every other I'm always there. You know?
You're number one super fan.
Yeah, it's just become part of. I quite often have sport on the telly with the sound down, and I'm listening to the tunes, you know, and that's what I do. So, I usually have a little break about 9:30 to phone my parents, because that's the time they like to be phoned. So 10-15 minutes of there, but it's still on in the background. But then the rest of the time, I'm you know, it's just become a big thing, and it's lovely the variety of DJs you've had over the years. It's been great.
Well, pause. I'll take a couple of things out what you said. But the first thing is obviously you mentioned your parents, and I think I'm right in saying I don't know if your dad's necessarily watched it, but he's certainly seen.
No, my dad watches. Yeah, my dad watches.
I know you've commented before because your dad's jazz musician. Is that right? Have I got that right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, he's pulled back from watching Coffee and Donuts as often because it's the music. It's not his scene, you know.
Yeah.
And he would all tune in for me, but he doesn't even. But he likes the jazz thing.
Yeah. And we will talk.
But it's been recorded. But he likes the jazz thing, and I like the tunes you played today. And you know, he doesn't watch it all, but he will be there to watch.
That's really good. That's really good.
I mean, you know, he's 83 years old, and he tunes in, and he doesn't comment in the chat room.
No, but he's tuned in. He's tuned into Twitch. You know, it's what the kids. Well, I don't know if the kids are while doing it, but the kids are sort of on it. But we will come back to jazz. But then going back to obviously what you're saying, you know, so you know, what is it specifically about the show? Obviously, you like the tunes. And you know, watch it pretty much every Saturday. It's quite
I think there's several things, isn't there? When I first started watching it, it was it's the fascination of seeing other people DJ, which you know, unless you are a DJ. People don't, you know what I mean? People go, "What do you want to watch people play records?" Well, because I like, and it's seeing the different styles and the different, you know, there are people who do cutting and mixing and scratching, and then there are people who just play tunes, and then and it's and then as it went on, after a few weeks and a few months, you started to get to know people in the chat room, and it's meeting up with your mates on a Saturday morning for a chat.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know? And it's really nice. And I've garnered some really good friendships. I mean, you and Ouija, and you know, people. You know, Rob, I chat to quite a lot. Just of recently, I've been talking to Dee quite a lot, and you know, people like that. And you know, I had a chat with Sarah's Fraulein Freakbeat the other day, just for a little bit. You know, and it's, you know, something I would never have done and never had the opportunity to do. You know, and we chat to people all the time. I've met you, and I've met Adrian Finch. I met Danny Bounce the other week. You know,
yeah.
All because of Twitch that it's happened, and Coffee and Donuts, where people bounce up and you think, bounce not that was not a pun, not
that was a pun.
But you know, then suddenly you think, oh, this guy, oh, Danny, he lives up the road from me. You know, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does. He's very classy.
You know, and then people like Gowan Hardy, who's a fan who's not done any streaming, but I find out he lives up the road to me. You know, it's just that is for someone who's got my social anxiety. It's actually quite a nice way to chat to people, you know, because it means I'm in a safe space and I can have a chat and there's no pressure on it, you know.
Exactly, and I think that's right. And again, lots of what you said is really interesting and really important. Safe space is the first thing. You know, we touch wood, we don't have any problems. You know, everyone sort of gets on, and we haven't had any issues yet. Hopefully, that will carry on. But yeah, it's almost like we've created. I've talked about this before on Twitch. That Twitch is almost like your local pub where you go along. And you don't necessarily know what the music's going to be like that particular night in that pub, but there'll be someone in there, and or few
there's
people,
always someone.
There's always someone, isn't there?
Even on other streams that I've found, not
yeah.
Coffee and Donuts, you go into a room and it might be like DJ Bill and he's playing at 4 o'clock in the morning or something because you got and there's someone there, and it's like
exactly. It's amazing. And I suppose what we've done in a way of Coffee and Donuts is almost created like a Saturday morning coffee shop vibe, especially when Decal comes on and he's got his coffee shop overlay, which he's done a few times.
Oh, it's amazing that. Seeing stuff like that is just mind blowing. I'm not setting the decks up, and he's got all this clever stuff, and it's like, wow. My dad said to me the other day, actually, he said, because I'm not technical too. So technical, you're not technical. I said, no, I know, but but when I think about it, just doing the stream, actually setting that up and getting it going, and all the overlays, it's quite technical in a way.
Well, it is, because you've had to invest in a camera, possibly in an audio card, a microphone. Make sure your mixer is going to work. Make sure your lighting's okay. So it's not just. I think there's a problem when people first started, and we had this to start with when people just wanted to stream and they just thought it'd be as simple as just switching their computer on and it's going to happen. And they were like, no, there's you've got to have this bit. For example, it's the bit from the mixer to the laptop. An audio card is the key bit, and then you've got to have a webcam. And people have had all sorts of technical problems. But again, we were talking before the show. There was technical problems, and there has been technical problems on the show. But people still hang around. They support you. They don't go, oh right, we're off now. They're like, okay, we understand it happens. We'll hang around 5-10 minutes, see if you can get it sorted. If you can, brilliant. And again, that just shows something that people know that we're human, know that technology gets in the way, but are still prepared to support.
And they like
the DJs on the show.
And they say what happened on Sunday with the jazz thing. Obviously, we couldn't explain. We'd have some technical issues, and we had over 100 people in the room. For us, that is a lot of people, and then we had technical issues. And you thought, right, that's all going to go away, And I just thought, well, when they come back, I expect there's going to be 3 people. It'll be me and Matt and Ouija, and Ouija's got to go in a minute because he's going to a gig, so that'll be it. But there was still 90 people in the room. It's like, wow.
It's amazing. Yeah. And that was from a big raid from DJ Ivy over in Los Angeles, who was DJing like obviously late at night. I think she DJs till 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. So that would have been about midday here. So that sort of makes sense about how this timing. But again, that's another thing I love about it. And we're starting to get, even on Coffee Donuts, we're starting to get people raiding in a bit more regularly now.
That's right.
And as we grow and as the channel grows and that, people get more aware of us and they're prepared to sort of raid in, which is really nice. And then we get new followers.
It's nice that we can raid out, because I look right. And Armand's Melkis was on, and he had 4 people in his room, and then he didn't. He had over 80, just like that, just because. All right, and it's just Armand's deserved to be watched because he plays some really great tunes, all on vinyl, and it was like, oh wow, okay, I've suddenly got all these people watching me, and it's nice.
It's really good, and that's one of the things I love about Twitch is the raiding, the hosting, because it's all part of this bigger community. Because if people were difficult and they wanted to, they'd be like, right, I've done my set now, off you go. I'm just going to switch it off. But they're like, no, let's carry on the party. It's 24 hours a day. Let's carry on the party. Let's go somewhere else.
You don't have to watch that for that time. If you want to, but it's giving people the opportunity to find another. Find another
follower, find another stream, find some different music you never heard of before. See, and sometimes, I will be on a raid stream and watching a raid stream, and then I'll forget to sort of come out. I'll leave it on, and then I'll come back in the morning and I'll switch it on, and we're in some some streamer I've never heard of before,
Yeah.
the other side of the world, and I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. You know, not always, but you know,
No, so
99% of the
lots of
time.
the stuff I've found has
Yeah.
been because of raids. People like DJ Bill, you know, who I try and
He's
watch
brilliant.
a lot. I mean, he's on the
Yeah.
wrong time because he's,
Yeah.
you know, because of the time difference, and he's DJing till 3 o'clock in the morning in Brazil, and it's too early. But
Yeah.
you know, when I do catch his, he's just he's got a record collection I'd die for because it's amazing.
Oh, I know. All I mean, yeah, all of the Brazilian DJ. I mean, I love
Yeah.
Brazilian music, but you
Oh, I
know,
do,
all the
yeah.
Brazilian
I
DJs
mean,
blow
that
me
plays some
away.
great stuff, and they're always like, "Where the hell do they get this?" And you look it up on Discogs or online, and you think,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's 500 quid. I'm not going to get that."
Yeah. I mean, it's probably cheap for them over
Yeah,
there,
it's not
but
exactly. Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
it's where you are, isn't it? And like, you know,
Exactly.
for example, you play quite a lot of pop stuff sometimes every now and
Yeah.
again. So obviously it's easier to find that and quite cheap to find that here, whereas it would be
Yeah,
quite difficult to find that sort of stuff in
absolutely.
Brazil,
Yeah,
I would imagine.
absolutely. You're not going to find the Susie Quattro single in Brazil, are you?
No,
Maybe you don't want to, but you know.
someone might want it. I had who did I had? I had Miss Soul Turner from Colombia, and
Okay. Oh yeah, she's great.
she was going on about an ABBA track. I can't remember which one it was that she'd found, but she'd had to buy it from Barcelona and get it shipped over and
That's
stuff
right.
because
Yeah,
they
that was on the
on
callback
one
to
of the
that,
shows.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she just didn't actually have the ability to
yeah.
walk down like we would. You know, we could walk down to any record,
Yeah.
any charity shop, and you're bound to
I mean,
find an ABBA song in there.
some of that De La Soul stuff on 45, it's not expensive in this country. You find them for 3 or 4 quid. And I think both D and Rob said that cost us 20, 25 quid over here because we just haven't got it. You know,
No.
and it's just in Australia you can't find them, and we're lucky in that. But then on the other hand, there are places you hear some Japanese DJ and he's playing some amazing Japanese funk record, and you say, I'm never going to get that. You know, it's just impossible. But you can hear it, which is nice. That's the thing, isn't it?
And that again is the beauty of Twitch. And I think that the fun thing that we've had with getting all these DJs, it's maybe not quite. It's a bit more UK based more recently, just because people have sort of come off streaming as much as they used to. And also when we first started, not everyone was streaming themselves on their own channels.
No.
And I can't. I mean, I don't. Yeah, because I think you've done a little bit, but obviously you've streamed a lot more.
Yeah,
since.
My first ever stream on Coffee and Donuts, I was before I streamed on my own channel.
Yeah,
I hadn't done any streaming on my own channel at that point, and then you know, over the last year or so, I'll do more. I haven't done it on my own channel for a while, so.
But it's been great that we've not only been able to get people to come on as guests, but then for a lot of them go off and do their own thing. You know, for example, like, you know, when Double P, he was like, right, let's put together a mental health raid event, and we were like, okay, let's do it. And then I sort of helped him a little bit with, you know, flyers and this, that, and the other. And then suddenly we're looking at a 3-day event that he suddenly organised when, you know, a month or two ago he wasn't really streaming, and you know, before that he wasn't really DJing. So it's been amazing to see where it's sort of mushroomed out and gone into all these different directions, and people doing their own thing, which then brings it back, and it comes full circle, doesn't it? You know, the bigger all of us get, the better it is for everyone. You know, so, and obviously we're the sort of hub, and as 45 Kings Collective Twitch channel gets bigger, hopefully, it then sort of feeds in, and we can get the guests to get a bit more recollection. We can raid out, and hopefully bigger numbers, and then help everyone.
Well, I mean, it's like there was a case. It didn't actually happen because it just happened to be when I was away at Easter. But there was someone coming in the room I think it might have been on Coffee and Donuts. It might have been on the Sevens thing on a Sunday. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And it was Jadzia Dex. Do you know Jadzia Dex? She's
yeah.
from Arizona. She said, "Is anybody interested in doing we want to do a rock stream?" I thought, well, I'm gonna have a go at that. So I messaged her, and she said, "Yeah, okay, I'll send you all the details." And got everything. And then when it came to the dates, it was like, I'm not here. I can't do it. But you know, but I'm obviously on a radar, and hopefully, if they do another one, I'll be up for it. But you know, just because she came in the room, loads of people playing 45.
Exactly.
These guys might be up for a laugh, you know, and just something different. And it's like, and she's not a rock DJ. She's a house DJ. You know, she's proper.
Yeah. I think she did the
mainly digital, and she's very good.
Yeah,
but
she's
only been DJing 2 years. You know, it's amazing.
I think she was towards the end of the last Double P mental health raid.
That's right. Yeah, that's
I
right.
think
Yeah,
she
yeah.
did the last. I think I raided. Maybe I raided into. Oh no, I think she was an extra. I think it was an extra. Yeah, yeah. I think we were playing. I was doing the last hour of the talk show, whatever it was.
Right.
And then I think Double P said, "Oh, I've got one more DJ. Can we raid to her?" And I
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, cool, cool." And then we
That's what it
did all
was.
that.
Yeah, because Double P was in the room when I was chatting to her. Yeah, and I go and watch it. It's not my type of music at all, but she's entertaining because she's full of
yeah, yeah,
life
yeah,
and
yeah.
bounces
And
around. She's like a female Sam, you know. She just jumps about all the time.
yeah,
You know, she's always smiling and happy, and it
yeah.
just cheers you up. You know, it's one of those things that it's good to watch.
Exactly, and it's all about the good vibes
Mm.
and the you've been on my mental health talk show, and we talked about that in the past, and I think there's several different layers of this, isn't there? There's one, obviously, the being on a Saturday, being part of the community and having a chat with your friends,
Yeah.
but then, as you sort of alluded to, there's then meeting people in real life. We've met in real life, and you've met some other people in real life which again you wouldn't have done if it wasn't for Twitch and it wasn't for the group. But then another thing you've done as well as sort of being a guest several times, thank you for that. And you've also sort of stood in for me a few times when I've been, off for holiday or festivals or whatever we've been doing. But then you've also been quite, again, inspirational for a couple of things. One, the uplifting mix, which is sort of inspired from your question on the very first mental health talk show, and that's brilliant. I think we've got another 2 mixes gone up today, and there's another one coming. So we're up to about 34 or something, which I'm amazed at. But also you said to me, me and Daryl, because Daryl easily doesn't stream himself on his own channel. Then he said, "Oh, it'd be cool, to get him round, and maybe we can do a little back-to-back session." I was like, "Yeah, cool." So you did that, and that was brilliant.
Yeah.
And then that inspired me to say, "Right, okay, well, let's widen the net and see if anyone else wants to do it."
Yeah.
And then we got other people doing it on Coffee and Donuts.
It's just a different vibe.
Yeah.
Entirely, and yeah, and you don't know where you're going to go. I mean, Daryl and me, we like quite a lot of the same music.
Yeah.
He's a real pro at doing parties and stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, properly. I mean, he does corporate events for, I mean, the man used to be head of UK Motown, so he's not just a 10 bob DJ who plays in a pub. He does proper stuff. I mean, he's done those book launches for ABBA, and he DJ'd a whole set of ABBA stuff because he's an expert and he's got everything. So, but he brings a different vibe to it. And again, I'm watching Daryl. He jumps about and he's
a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, you've met him, but
I was lucky enough to meet him when I came down to Southend. Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
If anyone doesn't know and seen Daryl, I think, that's what Daryl's like. If Daryl was doing it on his own with no one watching, he'd be doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Because he's just enthusiastic about the music and it's infectious, and we have a great laugh. We've done 3 of those back-to-backs now, and hopefully
and then obviously that then fed into you doing one with Mark Funk as well.
Again, that's someone there. I met him for the first time the day you did.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's the first time I met you. And then we've actually DJ'd out together. We did a.
I mean, it's just amazing, isn't it?
We got asked by an ex of mine. She was organising a thing for Southend Pride, just a fundraiser, and she said to me, "Do you want to DJ at it?" And I said, "Okay, that'd be great. Go." And then Mark said, "Do you want a hand?" And I thought, "Well, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, I'd love to do that." And so and we did 4 hours, and hopefully there will be other work out of it at some point. And
it's each gig's an opportunity, each session's an opportunity, and it's every time. And again, it sort of fed out because I put a comment out in the Facebook group. I said, "Look, does anyone else want to do this?" So then we got Sucker Punch 45s doing with Rachel Darby. We then got Colin Funky Diabetic down in Swindon saying, "Oh, I'm going to get a few DJs to come to my house. We do a kitchen thing." So they did that. That was like 6 hours. Matt Baylor and Double P and loads of other people. And then they're doing that again, So it's
Graham's done it with Slichibo as well. Who's
Graham's done it a few times, and I'm probably missing some people. I'm trying to organise some more.
Well,
but
Constance and Adam have done it, haven't they?
Constance and Adam, our first husband and wife DJ, DJ crew. But again, it's just, and we did it up in Edinburgh. When we went up to Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago. And Scott, and it was it's me, Scotty, Keith Fletcher, Paul Saul, Double P, and Lee, and it was brilliant. 3 hours. playing a few tunes, sitting around chatting about stuff a bit in between, and just saying, right, what am I going to play next? It's really good for, like I say, the mental health and talking and expanding your musical horizons and just having fun. Just having fun.
I don't know about you, but the thing that always happens on a Saturday, and basically any stream I watch generally, but mainly on this is my want list goes up on Discogs. I mean, I was talking to one of my mate. I mean, I produce a jazz show, okay, with a guy called Doug. He's a good mate of mine, and he used to moan the other day, "Oh, my Discogs said, I get an email every single day from them. I've got about 30 or 40 records on my want list."
Yeah.
I said, "Doug, I've got 4,500 on mine."
Yeah. I know.
I've got 4,500 on my want list. I mean, like it's single items, so there's you say I want, look out for that, and there might be 20 different versions of that. But it's still over 1,000.
I'm not quite as bad as you, but I do get these emails every day, and it's like there's 20 new
always
things
over
in your
100.
want list, and it's always you're going through and you're like, yeah, too expensive. Then you suddenly think one, it's like, hold on, one that's in the UK, two that's about 15 quid. Can I grab it? And then sometimes you can, other times you're like, oh, it's gone. Before you
and then because I tend to look at the bottom end of the market. I'm a bit like Benny Gogg, so I'm a 50p banger boy,
There's nothing wrong with it,
but then you find something and you go, oh, that bloke's got that for £1. Oh, you can get another 3 or 4 for the same postage. Well, I might just have a little look, and then
that's when you lose yourself in time.
That's I've done it so many times.
Yeah, and I think you introduced me to a seller, I think, didn't you? And then I ended up, I think it was all like
It's worth
50p and £1 or £2 or so. And I ended up like getting a big stack.
Many. I did it again with him the other week, and another load. And there's a few more. I've got about 10 coming in this week, hopefully. That cost me a lot of money.
I just need a bit of time to sit down and actually go through these records. The problem is, I think it was Miss Late Night. Amanda put a post on. I think it was a photo of Baby Yoda with pulling a face saying, "My records I haven't listened to yet. Watching me buy other records." And it's very true, because there's piles there that I have bought, and I know I love them, and I just haven't got around to listen to yet. But I'm still looking for more records. That's just addicted me.
I'm getting better at that. I do tend, when they come,
it will slow down next month for me.
I play them because when I first started getting back into vinyl, about 8 years or so ago, with stuff I was buying, and I've got albums. I was part of this jazz album club that was online, and I joined it, and they sent you 2 albums every month, and I ended up with 8 albums, and there must be 50 of those I still haven't listened to.
It's just time, isn't it?
It's just time. Yeah, it's time. They're great albums, and I've heard them in the past but not actually that version on vinyl.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've heard it on streaming on CD. CD, but,
One of the other things that has happened is that we've sort of had feed-off shows in a way from Coffee and Donut. Obviously, we've done some of the country streams. It then led into me and Rob doing Reggae Fire, but something that's been, and you've already alluded to it already, but become very important is Bright as the Sun, which is the jazz hobblers, jazz excursions on 45s, and you just celebrated your year. It must now be 14 months.
We did I think we're about.
You've done 14, a couple since then.
Now,
so 14. Yeah, and I was lucky enough to be. I did one, and when you first came up with the idea, I was like, yeah, I don't think I've got much jazz. I don't think I could put a set together. And then as I sort of started watching you guys, I was like, yeah, I've got this one, or I've got something similar to this. And then eventually I was like, yeah, I can probably put together a set. So then I did a set, and then obviously I was on the first 1 year anniversary, which was great. But so tell us a little bit about Jazz Hobby, because that's another important show.
Well, that was again. I played quite a bit of jazz within my sets at times, and I think the second Jamba I did all Brazilian, all jazz, all soul jazz. I was on very early in the morning, and then anyway, I'd always included jazz in my sets. And then one day, Rob messaged me and said, "Look, I've got an idea about a jazz thing. I'm doing a Sunday, me, you, Fat Wax, because I know obviously Marky's always done it, and Ouija, because he's always played jazz as well." And then he said, "Would you be interested?" I said, "Well, yeah, it'd be my dream to do just a jazz-based thing, because it's, you know, it
Yeah.
is my first love and my first love of DJing, because my first jazz hero, my first DJ heroes are people like Giles Peterson and Paul Murphy and, you know, Patrick Forge, people like that. So yeah, I jumped at the chance. We went back and forth for a week. How are we going to do it? It's all going to be on 45s. Absolutely brilliant. Fine. And then after the first one we did, the second, I think it's the second or the third, might have been after the third one, I couldn't do because I was
Right.
away. I was going to a wedding. And so we asked Butchie, because we always knew Butchie had always been playing lots of jazz.
Yeah.
And then it got expanded to the five of us, and then it's taken off since then. And yeah, and it's something I probably enjoy putting together that set more than any others. I'm not saying I enjoy it more than other times, because sometimes, you know, just get that vibe when you're playing lots of old cheesy pop records, and then they're great fun to do. But I love doing Coffee and Donuts, doing Bright as the Sun. Yeah, it's
again, it comes back to I know I keep talking about mental health, but I think it is so important. And as I'm doing this more, I'm realizing, because, you know, having something to look forward to and knowing that you've got to do a set or be part of a raid event, I think is really important, because it keeps you going. And like you say, you know, sometimes I find that the most fun I have is when I'm trying to pick out a set. Like if we do a 45 Raiders or a particular theme or something, going through my collection and going, oh yeah, that's that. Oh, I forgot I had that one. That might work in this set. And then just prepping the set. I mean, I don't prep many sets, but, you know, if I'm doing a big set, I will. And again, it's just great. You know, it's brilliant. And then listening to the other DJs and seeing what they're playing, it's all, you know, it's all so important. It's all so important.
It is. And I think also it hones you down a bit, because I used to be, when I, you know, before I did anything like this, I was pretty haphazard. I just play whatever I wanted, and it didn't always fit together. But you start getting a vibe and whatever. And I'm not saying I play the same beats per minute, because I don't. I've never done that. It's just not my thing, because I don't mix. I don't think there's any point in doing that, really, because I can't. There's no point in me trying to beat match, because I don't know how to do it. But you still get a vibe, and you you get a flow, and therefore, and you sometimes I find you played these two records, you think, oh, they went together, but I didn't really think about it. It just happens. Because it becomes a sort of instinctive thing, and the more you do it, and I think that's something I've learned from doing the streams, and I know I've become a much better DJ out of it. Definitely.
Oh yeah, I agree. Not you, just you, but I think I agree. Most of the DJs who are doing now have you know, not that anyone was bad, but obviously I think everyone's become a better version of themselves.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think the confidence. It's the same with the kids. It's when the 45 kids come on. You know, you can see the confidence building each time we do it, and how different they are. And you know,
it's a really good word, actually, confidence, because. Yeah, I know there are certain DJs I've spoken to. I won't name names, but I get really nervous for a set. I don't. Maybe the first time I did, and that was more to do with, is the tech going to work, rather than the actual
exactly.
DJing. But once you've nailed the tech and you know you can go on, and it's fine. I don't really suffer of any nerves about playing while I play. Sometimes you think when you're not, the only time I sometimes get a bit, not angsty, but, and I think other people have said this before, when you're not getting an awful lot of response in the chat room.
Yeah, we've had that.
But then you think they might be just lurking and just enjoying it. So that's fair enough, isn't it? You know,
well, don't have to, And again, a couple of things that come out of that. Yeah, I don't get nervous for Coffee and Donuts, and if it's my show, so if I put it together and it's my show, I don't, you know, it's my thing. It doesn't matter if it goes wrong, because it's my thing. But I do get a little bit nervous if it's a biggish raid event, and you know that there might be, you know, 50, 60, 70, you know, 100.
Well, it's that raid thing as well, isn't it? It's actually getting the raid right. That's always the. Am I going to do it?
It's that little bit nervous, especially when you're part of a raid and you're like, okay, look, it's going to come in, it has to work, and it I'm not going to say it never goes wrong, because it does go wrong, and it went wrong on the final.
Sometimes it's not our fault. It's
not. It just needed the computer to be reset or something like that. But I did Vinyl World Cup for Sweet Tooth, and it came on, and there was just the sound was going through OBS. It was coming out my mixer. It was coming in my headphones. It just wasn't going to the internet, and I was like, well, I don't know what's going on, you know. So I had to switch it all off. Thankfully, Sweet Tooth jumped back on. And then we did that. But again, it's the beauty that people are there ready to jump on, and you did that on Sunday.
I've done it before, yeah. When you've had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
problem or whatever, and I'd say, well, I've still got my gear on. I'll just go back on.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've done that
Mine's pretty permanent now because obviously I stream all the bloody
well,
time.
yeah, I mean, I don't. My gear is set
I
up,
can
but
usually
I
just
don't.
switch it on and go. But right, there was one other thing you were going to talk about. The tech. I can't remember. There was something else you said I was going to pick up on. I need to make notes as I'm going along.
Right, mate, you're getting
normally pretty good when I've got my phone, but I'm not using my phone though. We were talking about streaming and about the confidence, and
we talk about jazz hobblers.
yeah,
Is it from there?
There was something else. It'll come back to me. But really, it's been a fun almost 2 years. It's been great having you along for the ride, watching, and then being a guest.
Nice. I
And being
feel honoured.
Host effectively.
Well, I feel honoured that I've been asked to do it so often. When I think Rob published a list of, all the people who've been on, and I looked at how many times I've been on. I thought, really? And
I think you came quite high up when I was sort of.
I think I was after you three. I think I was maybe Decal. I was next. Really quite high up.
Yeah.
I've done it.
I need to go. I think the first year we had something like 78 guests.
Wow.
I think obviously it's a few less because we've had people come on, but I need to go through and get the list of how many we've had up to 2 years. But it's going to be 100, I would say, probably. So 100 guests in 100 shows, is pretty good going. So, and then we'll see where we go for the next year. We'll just carry it on for now.
Yeah, that's right.
All the time people are watching it and people are enjoying it, we will carry it on. If
people do, and say some weeks you get a few less than other weeks, but and other weeks you get loads, and it's like you don't know why that is. Summer's always a bit difficult, isn't it? Because people are on holiday, there's lots of
people are busy, and now the pandemic's sort of in a different sort of level. People are out a lot more. I personally haven't been around the last few Saturdays because I'm busy with festivals and stuff. But it's nice that it's there and people can stand in. So thank you for being able to do that. And I'm sure you'll be a guest many more times going forwards.
I think I'm on this week, am I?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for that, and thanks again for all the support. And I'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. Cheers.
Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.